Most runners train their legs, but this particular runner trains his mind, system, and soul. Meet Chinmay, a trail runner from Pune, with a philosophy that turns every trail into a classroom. Let's see what is mindset for the 100K.
So Chinmay, so you call yourself a nerd runner, and when I read your profile, so you had mentioned you have few subjects like sadhana, endurance, narratives as your main subjects. So how what does that mean to you?
Okay. Well, I've always been the curious kind who likes to understand why and how things operate. So, in a way, the methodology in which I think and in which I do things are also somewhat very, you know, process or system driven. So that's how I would say that nerd thing comes in because people perceive me that way. कि इतना कौन करता है? इतना क्यों सोचना है? So there's a difference between overthinking something and thinking something through, right? And as a human being, you have limited time in a day or in life in
Yeah,
general also. So you choose what do you want to do? What interests you, right? You do something for your own profession, but on the side you're also wanting to pursue running, right? So that is something that has been with you or you would want to do. Running for me is now sadhana because it's been on a constant part of my life since the last 13 years in different forms and different shapes. I started off as a track athlete, mountaineering, trekking, and then transitioning to trail running, and then going deeper into it. So that part is like a practice, right? Then the second thing was endurance. Now, in order to live the way you would want to live and pursue what you would want to pursue that gives you happiness, okay? Because it is fun to do,
yes,
you need endurance, right? It's not just physical endurance, it's mental, it's psychological, it's spiritual, economical, all these things
yeah,
come into it. So you have to build these, you know, walls of or fortresses that support all of these things. So that your sadhana, which you do in the middle of that fortress, is a beautiful garden or a forest that you're doing with them, right? And then narratives are basically how you do it in real life, and that's your touch point with, say, the real world. So professionally, I work in the business of building narratives, creating systems, monetizing out of it,
okay,
understanding how things operate, and mostly how people think. And let's just say I study how humans behave and build technology for it. But as you grow in your own career and your own profession, you get a certain amount of rhythm building things, and then it moves on to like bigger goals like धंधा कैसे चलेगा, क्या करना है,
सही है।
क्या
हम्म,
करने से कितना पैसा मिलेगा, आप अपनी वर्थ कैसे प्रूव कर रहे हो कि जो मैंने 6,000 रुपये में बनाया वो अभी हमें महीने का 1.5 लाख कमा के दे रहा है और इसमें मैंने एक्स अमाउंट ऑफ पैसे खर्च किए, तो इससे मेरी वैल्यू क्या बढ़ती है ना। So that's how you know you need to earn your bread.
yeah,
So I'm in the business of narrative.
yeah, got it, yeah, got it. So then why this 100K? So you have a good life, as you mentioned, everything is working out away fine other than running. So why 100K you want to do it?
It's an organic stepping stone for me, I feel, because having been doing this for quite some time now and having so much experience with the outdoors, it's about time like I also test another aspect of athleticism. It's no joke running 100K. I did
Yeah,
attempt it before, but that was back in
agreed, yeah.
2023 and it was a DNF, and I largely factor the weather that went bad at that time. But as an athlete, when you look back at that season and you retrospect on the learnings that you take from what went wrong, what was the type of life I was living, what was the type of training that I was doing, who was I hanging out with, and what happened, like at the race, and how could have I done better or what I did was the best decision at that time. So I don't regret it. And
Yeah,
I often say this, if you meet me, you'll hear this from me, that you just have to process and feel whatever you feel after a race for the first 15 minutes, whether it's a DNS, it's a podium, whatever, and then forget it.
yeah,
So
correct. Yeah,
that feeling of doing and going through this entire process and then ending up with whatever result I get will be able to tell me that how much progress I have made since 2023 September to April 2026 as an athlete. So it's basically an experiment where I'm comparing my 2023 season methodology to my newly evolved 2026 season methodology. There's science, there's a system on how this is measured and how the outcomes can also be published about what I'm doing. So that's
so as a person in compared to 2023, so how what changes what changes you will highlight you have done it in your training or your mindset? There will few highlights you want to mention.
more exposure, which results to more conditioning. So since then, I have raced more. I have done more brutal, uh, you know, conditions. I've raced in all different phases of life at all fitness levels, right? So that gives me a sense of understanding on where do I need to hit my benchmark. So if I compare my last season, which was Buddha Trails 2025, that was one tester for me to understand that if I would want to optimize as an athlete, what's the next step that I take. So there are a lot of models you can compare, but definitely 2.5 years, 2 seasons is a long time for you to evolve as a wise man. Age also
Yeah,
factors in,
yes,
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more on your philosophy. So you follow the philosophy that like leaving a book half read and knowing it may not be finished. So how that detachment helps you on the trail?
Um, because it is so pure. I mean, initially when we disconnected, I said, right, that this is a sport where it is condition agnostic. So as an athlete, it gives you a very metaphysical challenge,
Yeah,
right? You don't expect that in a TT room. You don't expect that in on a cricket field because you are here doing something which is not your home terrain, and whatever can happen. So being happy with being able to do it, having a body and all the right functions to do it, is in a way a gratitude. तो अगर कभी भी कुछ करने की कोई भी कुछ हो जाता है, अपन एटलीस्ट ये मान सकते हैं कि भाई सही है।
सही है, सही है। आई टोटली एग्री, क्योंकि मैंने पहले जो भी डीएनएस हुए उसमें काफी रिग्रेट रखा, बट आई
हाँ,
डिडंट आई शुड हैव lived it as more of an experience and should be more happy for it.
yeah, I mean that's why I say that racing is a privilege, right? Because you get to race to less. Now, if you compare that to any other method of sport, like say even an Ironman, you'll be able to race once, maximum 2 times a year,
Yeah,
and get that race experience out, right? So, in that sense, trail running is more accessible because I can move around the country. There are so many races happening now, which wasn't the same like 6 years back when I started trail
yes,
running in India.
yeah,
So, you have so many options and plethora of experiences to choose from, and you design your life accordingly to allow क्या आना चाहिए, क्या कब मेरे लिए क्या feasible है, मैं कब ट्रेनिंग कर सकता हूँ, क्या कर सकता हूँ, ये सब चीजें तो सूझबूझ से भी काम लेना पड़ता है ना? तो ये भी
definitely it is more feasible अभी trail running में तो, yeah,
है। I hope
yes,
that answered the question.
yeah, it definitely, yeah.
Right. Definitely. Go on.
Yeah. So more on the racing part, like the on the race of it. So you have a target of around sub 20 to finish it in sub 20 hours. So this is like a quite aggressive for 100K.
Uh-huh.
So what if the things doesn't go as planned? How will
Well,
you take?
that's why you trained for it. Okay. Now, giving yourself an aggressive target has always been my way of, you know, checking कि कितनी औकात है तेरे में, चल देखते हैं, है ना?
Mm, yeah,
क्योंकि आदमी पहले खुद की नजर में गिरता है, फिर दुनिया की नजर में गिरता है। तो अपने आप को ना एक थोड़े अच्छे पेडिस्टल पे रखो अपने आप के लिए। तो इसलिए वो गोल ना अग्रेसिव, but the honesty with which you train to achieve that with whatever conditions you have really defines the sense of peace. Okay. Now, objectively, the 20-hour target is what I will set off my race from. But 100K is a very long distance. 20
yes,
hours is a very long time. You calculate the number of seconds that each of these hours have, and you'll understand that I need to have all of them working in my favor.
true.
And even if one goes wrong from it, it imbalances a lot of other aspects and variables in the entire thing. So I'm running it like a simulation basically to test out the training. That is the objective, right? Now, if that doesn't happen, we were talking about conditions, we were talking
Yeah,
about weather. The weather has been bad. I've been on a recce. I saw 45% of the course, and there are some patches which need to be dealt with, uh, you know, with maturity. Because every trail has its own anatomy, every trail has
yes,
its own ecosystem and its own personality. You need to first integrate with that place in order to understand how the weather operates, which valley are you crossing over from, and all these things. So the second benchmark is 22 hours, which is still a very competitive time, under
yeah.
22 hours. So in that case, then I will be understanding on how long could I hold on to that 20 before I switch to the 22. That will be the hypothesis statement, right?
That will be a critical moment for you.
That
Yeah,
will be a critical moment. That's where a lot of all the core philosophies, all the training principles that I've followed will put into practice. But इसके लिए भी ना ट्रेनिंग कर रखी है। तो आप ना ट्रेनिंग के टाइम पे ना कंडीशनिंग काफी ध्यान दिया था मैंने इस बार। What is conditioning? It is basically giving your body and your mind to exist in a plane or a specific training zone where you're mimicking the race ka conditions, not the weather conditions and all, but the physical conditions, right? So the last scenario, which is if push comes to shove and I'm only looking to finish now, right? The weather has been very, very cursed that day, and it's gone really bad. Things have gone really bad. So I have a philosophy for that as well. Like, when those things get harder, you will remember why you started doing this in the first place and all the things that you picked up through that entire training block. So it is operating the model that I'm currently experimenting with this 100K is operating at all these three different levels. Standing up
absolutely.
your
Yeah,
own POV, second is competing, and third is surviving. You have to have all three aspects sorted out before you step on the start line, is what I feel. And it's what I feel that most people need to start thinking about as well. Because, yeah, these are very bad, very raw, very dangerous places that you enter into, any trip,
yeah.
irrespective of it. तो भाई यहाँ पे इसीलिए ना आपने ना तगड़ा होना पड़ेगा काफी। फिजिकली तगड़ा रखो, मेंटली तगड़ा रखो। बस वही है ट्रेनिंग कि आप अपने आप को कूटते हो।
जैसे you did Reiki अभी for I guess for you almost compared कि 45% of the route you have done Reiki in last few days.
Yeah.
So कोई specific part के लिए you have trained कि भाई इस यहाँ पे कुछ हो सकता है, it can change the race. You feel something you want to highlight?
I haven't got into that nitty-gritty yet because I've just had a fresh experience and I had a very long training block, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I can't retrofit the training into the route, but I need to now retrofit the route into my training,
Yeah.
है ना?
Rightly said. Yeah.
मैंने 4 दिन सिर्फ पहला 45-50 किलोमीटर देख रखा है, पर
Mm.
जो ट्रेनिंग मैंने की है वो 970 किलोमीटर की है,
Yes.
170 घंटों की है, राइट? तो आप जब दोनों को एज अ मैथमेटिकल ये इवेल्युएट करके देखोगे, तो आप समझोगे कि इसको यहाँ से कंपेयर करना बहुत ही नोवाइस मिस्टेक है। रादर इसको यहाँ से कंपेयर करते हैं, देखते हैं कि कैसे क्या करना है। तो रफली अगर मैं बताऊँ तो हाँ भाई, इसके लिए भी ट्रेनिंग कर रखी है कि पता है कि बॉडी किस तरह से फील करनी चाहिए, इसकी
Yeah.
सेंस ली कि व्हेन आई रीच दिस टेम्पल, हाउ वुड आई वांट टू फील, व्हाट वुड आई वांट टू फील? Obviously, the recency of the entire route will give me a sense of anchor, but that will only exist for the first half of the race. The second half is going to be हमारे साथ श्री रघुनाथ तो किस्मत की चिंता।
भगवान भरोसे. Yes.
बिकॉज वो नाइट में होगी, ठंड होगी, देखते हैं
Yes.
कैसे। नाइट की भी ट्रेनिंग करी है बहुत, तो आई नो हाउ द बॉडी विल फंक्शन और शुड फंक्शन विद such a big training load. So the races that you mentioned, Vineyard Ultra, Mawla Ghati, they were all a part of these simulations for me.
Yeah.
You build C races, B races before your A race.
Yeah,
So,
that plan was very great. I saw your plan for this race. You have went into Burj 25, then
uh,
Wayanad, and then you also had planned Tata Ultra, but you
mm,
didn't start. So how did you take that call? So most of the runners would directly go for this, even if they are not prepared, if they are fatigued, they will go for it. I was also in there for 50 kilometers,
mhm.
and the last week before the race, I was also not training because of some personal reasons, but still I went. But how did you take that call of not starting the race?
It was very simple. Okay. If you look at the training uh, calendar that I shared with you, it is broken into 3 phases.
Yeah,
Okay. I was 8 weeks or almost 9 weeks into my training, which was the halfway point. 18 वीक का ट्रेनिंग है,
yeah,
उसमें से 9th वीक के एंड में ये वाला रेस आता है। और अगर आप देखोगे तो उसके पहले वाला जो ट्रेनिंग था वो स्पीड पे फोकस था, राइट? वो वाले रेस के बाद जो ट्रेनिंग है वो एंड्योरेंस पे फोकस, वो कंडीशनिंग पे फोकस। Hours
yeah,
are long, trails are higher, trails are harder, and the timings are very erratic. So I started running at like 3:30 in the afternoon or like 2 a.m. in the morning, because you're running through all these times of the day when you're racing. तो देन अभी जितना फिटनेस बिल्ड करना था बिल्ड कर लिया, स्पीड बिल्ड करना था कर लिया, स्ट्रेंथ बिल्ड करना था कर लिया। अब इसको टेस्ट करके करते हैं। तो द पर्पस ऑफ अल्ट्रा 35 was to understand how fast I can go at 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. when I've specifically trained for that. Now, leading up to that race, I had some personal commitments, and because of that, and obviously the wonderful airline system that we have in the country, which charges the max and delivers the least. But yeah, the flights were delayed, and I knew that my sleep was compromised, my recovery was compromised. So if I even went and did it, it would not produce that result, and it would also set me back by almost 3 to 4 days in recovery. बिकॉज पुणे से लोनावाला ड्राइव करके जाओ, रात को करो, वापस
yeah.
आओ, सेंस नहीं बनता, पैसे भी वो उल्टा
Very
और खर्च
hectic.
हो गए, है ना? तो सेंसिबल डिसीजन है ही नहीं। उसके बदले में अगले दिन क्या किया, सोया, उठा, दोपहर को फिर से सोया, उठा, तो 4 बजे से लेके 8 बजे, 4:30 से 8, 8:30 वाला जो 4 घंटे का ट्रेनिंग है, वो मैंने एग्जीक्यूट किया बॉडी को ये बताने में कि अगर मेरे को फास्ट जाना है, अ,
Mm.
4:30 से या 8:30 के बीच में, जहाँ पे लेट आफ्टरनून से मैं डस्क में एंटर कर रहा हूँ, डस्क से मैं नाइट में एंटर कर रहा हूँ, एंड रेस मेरा शुरू होता है सुबह 6 बजे। तो ऑलरेडी मैंने 8, 8:30 घंटों का एफर्ट डाल रखा है। अब मैं जा रहा हूँ अगले 4 घंटों में, जो एक ट्रांजिशन फेज है, जहाँ पे मौसम बदलता है, जहाँ पे आपका माइंडसेट बदलता है। because light plays a very big part in your psychology um, when you race. So when you're entering into the night, it does get easier in certain aspects, but it also gets that much harder if you've not felt it. So then I did that simulation. It worked wonderful, and I was like, good. I just did it in my backyard, right?
Yeah.
हम्म, हार्डली कुछ पैसे खर्च हुए 8:30 बजे घर पे गया मस्त मैंने मतलब खाना वाना खाया सो गया तो उससे
ये
फिर अगले दिन रिकवरी भी कर ली और रन पे भी चले गए अपना प्लान भी नहीं हिला
ये बढ़िया किया तूने. And doing this simulation, I guess it shows that yeah, actually you have planned things very well and you're executing it. Not even so just planning, but actually you are executing it. And जो तूने ट्रेनिंग ब्लॉक रखा है, I saw it. It's very planned, very well planned in detail. And I guess load management has also been done, properly planned. When you will rest, when how much elevation you will climb in a particular week. वो काफी डिटेल में प्लान करा है तूने. सो अभी जैसे नाउ जस्ट देयर आर 4-5 days left for the race. How is is it in chaos or somewhere in between?
no bro it's very neutral right now very neutral it's blank actually not even thinking about the race
That's a
so
very good approach.
because honestly there's nothing to think about the race anymore you've already spent so much time training for it thinking about it visualizing it doing all the mental work load and all that.
Yes, you have already spent a lot of kilometers and a lot of hours in this.
एग्जैक्टली तो जो प्रिपरेशन होनी थी वो हो रखी है अब आगे क्या चिल मारो
Yes,
एंजॉय करो नए लोगों से मिलो बातें करो दो चीजें आप सीखो वो दो चीजें वो आपको सिखाएंगे है ना तो
yes,
यही चलता रहता है बाहर जाओ चाय पियो है ना बैठ के मस्त बात बात करो यहाँ वहाँ बादल देखो माइंड क्लियर रखो काम करो कुछ बिल्ड समथिंग प्रोडक्टिव व्हाटएवर यू आर so I'm in that phase right now.
yeah. That's a very good approach, and I guess it will help you. So now you have a race diary. Like every race you after every race you mentioned like what how the race went, what is the nutrition gap, कैसे effort pace था. So after this Silk Route, what do you want to mention in that row under the Silk Route? What is the best outcome you think?
The best outcome is to finish it and to be at the finish line feeling like you can go back again and you don't want to take a fucking bus,
Yeah, that's the spirit.
right? That's the end game.
Yes,
To be so badass that yeah, bro, let's see what's up there on that mountain. है ना चल वो मंदिर पे चलते हैं यहाँ तक आ ही गए हैं तो है ना अगले दिन उठ के थोड़ा वहां घूम लिया ये वाला वैली वो साइड वाली और वैली देख ली
yes,
तो बेस्ट
that's the
आउटकम
level of confidence.
वो कॉम्पिटेंसी एक्सपेक्ट
Hmm.
करता हूँ तो ये जो भी ट्रेनिंग करी है तो अभी फ्यूचर का मैं बता नहीं सकता बट चाहत इंसान को जिंदा रखती है
Yes, definitely. Hope so. You perform very well in this race. Yeah.
थैंक यू थैंक यू
Yes, yes, yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah,
अरे कोई नहीं
and
टाइम ही टाइम है
any
मेरे पास
yes,
जब
yeah,
नहीं
but
होगा ना तब मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगा हर एक सेकंड काउंट करेगा वो 20 घंटे में अंदर जाना है ना